So a pretty random report dropped about a day ago. Apparently, the Miami Dolphins and Pittsburgh Steelers have discussed a trade regarding Jonnu Smith. I'm It's definitely a head scratcher just because the Steelers still don't have a quarterback, and apparently they're interested in acquiring another tight end when they already have Pat Fryermuth. So I don't know. I know Jonnu Smith is a great tight end. He had a great season in Miami a year ago. He actually set a Dolphins franchise record with 88 catches for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that's pretty crazy, and because it was the Dolphins, that definitely flew under the radar a year ago. Plus, you had Brock Bowers destroying the rookie records. So, Jonnu Smith, in my opinion, definitely flew under the radar a little bit, even though he had a really good season. And I think he's always been a pretty good tight end, even back to his days in Tennessee. And speaking of the tight ends, there is a connection there with Arthur Smith currently being the Steelers' offensive coordinator. So that could be a big reason why the Steelers are interested in acquiring Jonnu Smith, just because of his relationship with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith was the tight ends coach when Jonnu broke out in 2017. And of course, he was also the offensive coordinator for the tight ends in 2019 and 2020. They also both had a quick stint in Atlanta as well. So who knows, man? I feel like this deal might actually get done at some point. Steelers fans, talk to me. Are you feeling this move? Are you not? Are you scratching your head right now? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, I think it's a good move, but they still don't have a quarterback. And I know there's a lot of reports out there right now that are saying, yeah, Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh is a done deal. But I don't know. Like, can you really trust Aaron Rodgers completely fully at this point? I just feel like if I'm the Steelers, I would want to get a quarterback first and then add another tight end. But then again, I don't know the conversations that are being had behind closed doors. So, you know what? I'll give Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, that organization, the benefit of the doubt. You know, they've been making playoff appearances for the last 20 years. You know, it's not a franchise like the Browns or the Jaguars. It's a pretty competent one. So I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers is locked in. That's why they're kind of interested in acquiring another tight end, even though they have a pretty good one with Pat. So, yeah, definitely confusing timing at the very least. So, we'll see how it all plays out. And, you know, on paper, if they do get Aaron Rodgers, they have two great tight ends. They have DK Metcalf. Not a bad squadron for Aaron for his final year in the NFL if he does indeed show up to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. So, if I'm Aaron, I definitely want the Steelers to make this happen. And apparently, the big reason why the Dolphins are considering trading Jonnu is because, as expected, he wants a new contract, which makes a lot of sense when you are coming off of a season where you break your current team's franchise records and catches, touchdowns, and yards. Yeah, I feel like you're definitely due for at least a little bit of a raise. So I feel like he's definitely in the right here. He's only slated to make $4.8 million this season, which I don't really think that's right if he were to come back to Miami. It is also reported that he does prefer to stay in Miami, which makes a lot of sense. You know, Florida, Miami, making millions of dollars, playing the game you love, no-brainer kind of move. I'm sure everyone playing in the NFL would much rather live and play for the Dolphins than live up in Pittsburgh, but that's just my opinion. So yeah, for the Dolphins, man, you know, reportedly about to trade Jonnu Smith, reportedly about to trade Jalen Ramsey. I just made a video about this a day ago. I just feel like it's a foreshadow, man. I just feel like the Dolphins are kind of not waving the white flag on this season, but if they truly had Super Bowl aspirations or even deep playoff aspirations, you keep these two guys around on your team. Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey are pretty nice pieces to any team in the NFL. So even if you're not agreeing with me that you think the Dolphins are going to be bad in 2025, you have to admit that at least this isn't the type of moves a competitive team, a team that really believes in themselves would do. So my expectations for the Dolphins are not high in 2025, and I feel like people in that Dolphins organization also probably agree with me. But yeah, man, back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like this is kind of an all or nothing year for them. They're just in a strange, awkward point of the franchise right now, especially with like Mike Tomlin. And you're trying to bring in 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I just feel like it's the last hoorah, honestly. And plus, I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this. I feel like it's definitely under the radar. TJ Watt still has yet to sign a contract extension, and it's reported that there's not a lot of movement on it right now. Sure, we're only at the last couple of days of May right now. Things can change in a couple months, and who knows, maybe it'll be sunshine and rainbows with TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers come August. Maybe they'll get a deal done, but I'm just telling you, the vibe right now is definitely weird, to say the least, in Pittsburgh, and, unless the Steelers make just an unreal, deep playoff run with Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin and whoever else they get, it's probably Mike Tomlin's last year. And, if the Steelers aren't competitive come the trade deadline, it would just make a lot of sense for the Steelers to trade TJ Watt, in my opinion, because, you get rid of Mike Tomlin. You still don't really have a quarterback in 2026. I just feel like this franchise kind of needs a little reboot. Maybe not a full-on rebuild, but definitely a reboot. So why not trade TJ Watt for at least like a first and a second? I just think it makes a lot of sense in my opinion. And Steelers icon Terry Bradshaw recently had a pretty funny quote about Aaron Rodgers as well. He said, quote, "That guy needs to stay in California. That's a joke. This is just, to me, a joke. What are you going to bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there." So, I don't know, man. It's just weird vibes. Even, like, current Pittsburgh Steelers had quotes about Aaron Rodgers in the beginning of the offseason saying that, like, yeah, he should stay retired. And I think even Cam Hayward said, yeah, we're not waiting around for Aaron Rodgers, but their tune has kind of changed a little bit. It's about to be June, OTAs are about to start, and they still don't have a quarterback, so it's just really desperate, awkward, strange times in Pittsburgh right now. And man, if you're a Steelers fan, I just don't know how you are not hoping for a rebuild at this point. Man, if I was a Steelers fan right now, I would hope that like Aaron Rodgers comes in and he just like bombs completely. And hopefully for the first time in like forever, I can't even remember the last time the Steelers had like a top 10 draft pick. Hopefully they get a top 10 draft pick in 2026 and they have the opportunity to draft a quarterback, because that's the thing about Mike Tomlin and the last 20 years of him making the playoffs every single year, even though they're eliminated in the wild card round almost every single time. When you get to that stage, you get buried in the middle in no man's land. You're never in a position to draft the top talent in every single draft. And the Steelers need a franchise quarterback. They need a hero again in Pittsburgh. So if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm crossing my fingers that this team bombs and they get a top 10 pick in 2026, because it's reported that it's going to be a good QB draft class and the Steelers need a quarterback for the present and for the future. So let me know what you think is going to happen. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far, please subscribe and like the vid. Help out your boy a ton. That's all I got for right now. Peace.
The Jets have been involved in some tight games these past 2 weeks. They won one last week, but now they trail in another close one, Phil.
Jim, in these close games, which we seem to see almost every single week, it usually comes down to which team doesn't turn the football over.
Now on first down, every snap crucial the rest of the way. The Patriots signal for a timeout. They have 2 remaining. Second down coming up. Time, obviously, a factor the rest of the way. 2nd and 12. Amaro with the reception. Lions in on the tackle. The defense stops the clock. 3rd down coming up. Needing a first at this point. Mason's got on the handle. That's McCourty making the stop. And the timeout is called, so we're going to take a quick break and return in just a moment. 1st down. Pressure on every snap now. That defensive front looks impenetrable here on the goal line. High towers all over the ball carrier.
What a job by the defense down on the goal line. They were playing run all the way. It was a run. They got the penetration, and they tackled the runner for a loss.
Huge play coming up. Offense looking for one more play to make. He's averaged about 2 yards a carry on the day.